Hey everyone, welcome back to the Product Pivot. I'm Santi with my amazing co-host Megan, and we are so excited for this episode because we're going to dig into some recaps, get a little bit of behind the scenes action going on, and just talk about some things with yours truly, your hosts. Really excited to chat about this and kick things off.
We're super excited. We're coming off of season 1, which is like a high for us. Like we just decided after way too much time of talking about it and going back and forth on LinkedIn, we're gonna have a podcast. And now we're coming up on launching season 2 a little later than we wanted to. But we're gonna actually release season 2 here in about like a week and a half. And we just want to do this quick recap because season 1 was just like a banger in our minds, and we're super excited to talk about it. So yeah, I just the biggest thing I think out of season 1 that I got was I was just like astonished with everyone that we interviewed. Like I think everyone that we interviewed, I was just like this. Like I'm learning something from everyone. I know you felt the same. I feel like we were enamored with everybody.
I really did. I sat there and my ears were just like, keep it coming, keep it coming. Like it was as much for us as it was for our viewers, I think, at this point. I really enjoyed it.
Just to kind of recap for season 1, I know that like our main goal and focus was to reach out to aspiring product managers. We saw like a niche in the market where there wasn't really a resource that we could point people to after doing some of our mentor sessions. And we really just wanted to kind of create a resource where you could find out like, how do I become a PM? This is like the most gatekept role of all time. How do I become a PM? Do you feel like we accomplished that with our first season?
100%. I really do. And I think it was how do I become a PM, but it's also like how can my maybe unique or situation that I'm in employment wise, like how can that translate into PM? I think we covered a lot of that in season 1, and I feel really good because it did bring to light just how many avenues people have traveled to get into a product role. And I just don't think that was talked about enough prior to. I'm not saying like it wasn't talked about at all, but I just don't think it had enough resourcing around it to really share those stories. So I was actually really, really happy with season 1. I think we had some great folks come on, had a wide variety of inputs and perspectives that I think anyone could grab onto and harness. I'd love your thoughts too, Onyx. I think we share a lot of the same sentiment.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that we also were able to just like hear from different backgrounds, just like you said. I think like just hearing like a marketing background and CS backgrounds, and we heard just like so many different backgrounds. And I think one of the like universal things from season 1 is that product people don't come from product backgrounds. And I think that was just like a big thing that like isn't talked about. I feel like you see the thought leaders on LinkedIn and you talk to a product person and you're like, oh, wow, like you're a product manager. How did you become a product manager? And like, you're just like, that's just the role that I have now. And that just kind of is the universal sentiment, is that it's not like a journey. Sometimes you don't talk about the journey. You talk about the here and now, especially because I think our roles are so complex and there is so much to our roles. And a lot of them can be high stress too. I know that it's a very high stress role. There's a lot of saying no, there's a lot of negativity involved in a role and product, that talking about the journey and how you got there isn't the first thing that you gravitate towards. But what I found from season 1 is that we all come from somewhere that is not in product. And so I think that is really cool and really unique and shows that if you are an aspiring product manager, like you could be here too.
100%. And I think a key thing that came out of season 1 that so many of our guests either alluded to or called out is transferable skills. And I'm just glad that that was made a point to be brought up because that's really where the heart of the journey is, right? You use those skills you develop and that can be transferred into different roles and experiences and then eventually land in, whatever role it might be. And that can be for any role, not just product, but in our context, obviously, we're going to talk about the product role. And that's how so many of us did this. And we're prime examples, you and I, Meg, like coming from CS backgrounds and other adjacent functions, and then finally going into product. That was something that we have lived experience with, and then our guests also had lived experiences with as well.
I was just floored to see the support that we have for the podcast. We had over 1,000 views in our first season, which is just absolutely insane. I think when you and I first launched this resource, we were thinking the LinkedIn mentality, right? When we launched this resource, we were like, if it helps one person, it solves our goal. And so to see over 1,000 views, which basically was supporting the guests that were on it, of course, was really exciting. And I think that looking back, I'm like, wow, this really motivates me to continue and keep making episodes and keep having really intelligent guests on that can share their stories. And then I want you to talk about what happened in the public setting, because I think that was just when that happened, we were both just like, oh my God, this is a thing.
That is so cool. Okay, so folks, Meg's referring to a really cool moment that I was blessed to be part of a little while ago. I was invited to an event just kind of in my area. It was a Cursor meetup, so there was some tech folks getting in the room talking about technology and Cursor and things like that. And so one of the folks that presented their product that they had built in this meetup, we connected afterwards on LinkedIn, and we were like, hey, fellow product person, love chatting, all that fun stuff. And what was so crazy to me, two things happened in this interaction. He was like, oh my goodness, I didn't know that you were the host of the product pivot. That was number one. I was like, oh my gosh, like I got recognized. Like, crap. Number two, he said, yeah, the podcast was actually recommended to me by a friend. And I was like, oh my goodness. It was just kind of like a surreal moment where you don't really know how these things are going to go when you launch them, right? Like you put it out there because you want to help that one person or that, those few folks that you think could really benefit from it, but you don't actually know what kind of reach you're going to get or who you're going to impact. And so for me to have been, kind of recognized and like acknowledged and learned that it came through another person that referred our podcast, it was super crazy. I was like, God bless. Like that is so cool to me. And I thought it was a super good testament to how content does permeate through the community or through the market. And so for fellow content creators, even if you feel like you're not getting a ton of engagement or you don't know where your content's going, I can almost guarantee you it's helping somebody somewhere. So that was my big takeaway from all that. It was crazy.
I love that. I think that story really stuck with me because like I've been creating content on different platforms for years. Like I think I started on LinkedIn in like 2020, like or maybe even earlier than that. It's been a long time. And LinkedIn, like historically, is just one of those platforms. It doesn't pay you, and it boosts content when you pay them. Like it's just historically, it's the worst platform. And I think that it's always been one of those ones where if you post content, sometimes you almost like you have a tendency to get down on yourself because you see those thought leaders that are out there posting content that's like way better than you. And it's like these posts that are like, whoa, how the heck did that happen? And I think it's so cool that we launched this resource out of just pure drive and passion. And it actually like permeated, just like you said. And I think that is a testament that hopefully it's helping somebody, and that really keeps us motivated to keep going. We love to hear stories like that. Super, super excited. It has nothing to do with just like the dopamine hit of like our content being recognized, but I think it does have an excitement to the fact that we're helping people, and we want to keep that going because that's always been the drive and passion for I think both of us. That's why we've constantly mentored people, and we want to keep that going through this podcast. I want to pivot a little bit now to talk a little bit about like other things that have happened in our lives that are relevant to the product community, as we talk a little bit about like what's happened since season one. So Prodfolio is really, really new. We've been working on that project together, which has been really exciting. That's just a product that you and I have been working on kind of in the back end, and that is going to be our credibility engine for product people. I don't know if you wanted to share a little bit about that. That's like less tagline, more explainer for people, because I know that I always like default to a tagline.
That's why you're so good at the marketing communications. That's why it's like so good.
You can call me when you need an email written because of my experience at an email writing company, right?
And I do. I do.
I'm here for you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, so something that we again just kind of noticed in the community, saw a little gap for, and we like to close gaps. We're PMs, but we did notice throughout our conversations with folks, through mentorship, through the podcast season one, through just things we're seeing in the LinkedIn community, in the product community as well, that there is a bit of a gap here for those aspiring PMs trying to get their first product role in the sense they don't have a way to like best explain how they could do the role beyond the bullet points of a resume. And as we know, resumes, you got to basically have everything right there, snappy, value, just boom. There's no there's no in-depth anything. You just have to have everything right off the top. So and that's fine too. I'm not discrediting a resume, but for folks that are trying to get into these kind of like junior roles or aspiring PM roles, there really isn't a way for them to show that they have the deeper skills or the deeper product thinking in a way besides saying like this one single sentence on a resume. So of course, Meg and I did what we did with this podcast. And we were like, so there's a gap here. How can we best serve this root problem of helping these aspiring folks get their foot in the door with some of these job applications? And that's where Prodfolio came in. And I'll be honest, Meg was really the muse to a lot of this because she's really good at having portfolio and documentation of her work. I could learn something. So, and really one day it just that's kind of where I'm telling this slightly backwards, but that's kind of where a lot of this sparked from too, is that looking at Meg's portfolio, I was like, this is a great portfolio, but I know good and well it took you time to make this because you were hobbling things
A
together.
lot. Oh my God. I think it took me like days to even compile the content that I had in that portfolio. And even then, like I still didn't feel proud to share it because it wasn't easily readable and scannable and it constantly needed like a second step to like open that up or view that, right? It didn't feel shareable, like confident. Like when I would send that to somebody, even a friend or a peer, it didn't feel like, oh my God, they're just going to get it. And so, like, can you imagine sharing that with a hiring manager, someone that you're hoping to get you into a job? And so I think like that was what nailed it down for me.
So that's what was really cool about this. We got kind of early validation kind of right off the hop. For one, we saw the gap in the market that these aspiring PMs just don't really have a way to tell their experiences, their stories to the depth that can show their way of thinking and how they could realistically add a lot of value to the roles they're applying to. And then for two, so even just for existing PMs or people that do want to have more of a concise portfolio, you're hobbling together different tools, different pages, different information. It's taking you hours, it's taking you days. It was crazy. So we looked at all of this and we were like, a portfolio platform for PMs. And that's where that came to be. So that was my long kind of my little tangent there, but I'm very passionate about it because again, it's a resource that we are creating outside of our full-time work, but something that we're so passionate about to give back to the community. Again, just like this podcast, like the mentorship we do, this is just another way that we can extend an arm to the product community, especially those aspiring PMs that need that extra hand. So we're so stoked. Love it. We've gotten some great feedback so far. Some really cool things are coming, Meg. I'll let you share a little more if you want, but very excited about this.
No, I mean, I think you said it perfectly. I think we're really just trying to like the back of my mind is always like I want this role to be less gate kept. I think that no one talks about how to become a product manager. No one talks about like this is what you need to become or do to become a product manager. This is the way to make it happen unless they're selling like a coaching service. And I don't really like that. I think that becoming a product manager is a really special thing. And I think it is different per company. Don't get me wrong. But I think that this role is really special. And I think that we need to think about this as something that anyone can do with the right skill set. And I think that there are a lot of transferable skills that you can have from retail. I mean, Santi, like retail from customer success, like there are a lot of transferable skills. I think that we all just hold on to this role so tight that a lot of us don't want to share how to take this role because there's a lot of people out there wanting to also take this role. So I do worry sometimes that it's very gate kept and that we just don't want to share how to let more people in. So
And another thing too, I just again want to just highlight that Meg you touched on. The role really does look different in so many different industries and companies for products, etc. Like there is a lot that can go around, right? There is not one just kind of little pool of product roles that like you need to get into. There are many, many different ways that you can be a product manager. So I just wanted to call that out too, because I think it's one of those things that people think, oh, I need to specifically do this, and this to be this type of PM. And it's like, in some instances, sure, maybe that's what you want to do. Totally fine. But think about, the bigger picture too. There are different ways that PM work in different industries or companies. And yes, there are some foundational best practices and things like that. Not going to skip that. But just know that this role it is broad in some ways, right? It is a little more broad. There are some different opportunities you can pursue, and gatekeeping just really doesn't make sense. Like, for example, you could come to me and say, hey, I have a PM role for like this type of industry. And I might be like, that's great. I'm actually not really interested in that. But someone else might be. So just Share the love, right? Like share the love, share the knowledge, share the info with your fellow folks.
Totally. So, both of us have job title changes. So I think we should definitely like kind of announce that. So I was laid off mid last year or mid this year. Oh my God, it's still 2125. I keep like mixing that up. But I was laid off in March from my founding PM role at the small startup that I was at and pivoted over to fractional product management. So I've been taking that on since April ish, like end of March, April. Really loving how relationship focused that is and how like relationship focused the product role is. I feel like I've really learned that having that strong foundational relationship with the team really contributes to the product role. And I think that I'm really learning how much I like project focused work as well. I think that's really different about the fractional role compared to just like embedded product leadership because really you can get like small things over the line quickly. And that's the nice thing about fractional work. So that's been really new for me. And I know that you have a new role as well. And I'd love to just like quickly just tell that to the audience because I feel like these are exciting new things that have happened for us since we pivoted in season one.
Yeah, 100%. Folks know product management's kind of like my thing. But I did take a product operations manager role earlier this year, which I'm very excited about because a little spoiler for season two, but we have someone coming on that's talking about this. And what it really highlighted for me is that every product team has the prod ops kind of tasks or function that take place, but not always like the role. So I was actually already doing a lot of that just because I've been in the product space and I'm used to working in smaller companies and took a lot of that stuff on. So it became formal earlier this year, and I've been actually really enjoying seeing the things that can come out of a good product operations function. So that's been really, really rewarding because I treat everything like a product, but I've applied that to my role as well, where how we function as a product team or as a product org, I've treated that kind of like a product in itself. So I've been doing product management in like a new context in some ways, which has been really refreshing for my learning. And also just the satisfaction of actually being able to help people be better PMs or have better processes or better data outcomes, things like that. Absolutely love that aspect of it. So again, I take everything as a learning opportunity. So I've been using this just to completely flush out who I am as a product manager holistically. And it's been a great experience. It really has been.
You're kicking ass over there is the better way to describe it.
You're too kind. Meg does keep me honest. Meg will keep me honest. I appreciate her so much.
Share what did I share that gif from the like commercial from like Geico or Progressive or something where everything's on fire and the guy's got fire in his hand? It's
Yeah,
meant to be. I'm telling you, but I'm the like Elmo chaos. So it's okay. We're a great fit.
we work so well together. I can't wait to share behind the scenes.
So I want to switch over to season two teasers. So I'm really excited to talk about like who's coming, what they're offering, and some big names that we have coming. So I'm really excited to talk about that. Go back to what I said at the beginning. I'm pretty sure I was just like this during some of our guest sessions from season two because I was just like enamored. And I really just want to highlight Heidi to just mention like your relationship with Heidi and why she was so awesome.
Heidi is without a doubt one of my most favorite peeps in the product community. Honestly, pretty much all season two, right? Like everyone was so good. But Heidi and I connected ages ago, just as I was exploring kind of different product paths and opportunities. She gave some just out of the kindness of her heart, some really great advice, gave me some really good tips on my resume, etc. And she's just been a phenomenal advocate for the product community. And she has so much knowledge. That was, I think we were never quieter in an episode than with Heidi.
And just to share, this is Heidi Ram. She is a recruiter, a product recruiter. So I feel like that's why Santi and I were just like so into the episode. We were really just like eating up the knowledge because there's so much information that Santi and I also don't know about how to land roles in product. And I think that was we learned so much from that episode. And I know that our audience is really going to learn so much from listening to Heidi Ram's episode as well. Our guests were so awesome for season two. It's really hard to pinpoint a few out, but I'm just thinking like topics that our audience may be really wanting to learn deeper on. I know that AI is a really big thing right now, so maybe just want to shout out like Aaron. I know that you and Aaron, you kind of brought Aaron in as well. So do you want to speak a little bit about him?
Yeah, so Aaron is by far one of the coolest dudes I have met in the product community. Absolutely love that guy. But he's got a wealth of knowledge in terms of AI product management, which, as we know, is a super hot topic right now. And he shares it all with just the way he gives that information out is just so cool. But like again, informative. Really gets to the heart of what he's trying to say. Well, so passionate about it. He's a lifelong learner, and he really digs deep to find the information and obtain the information that he knows. So shout out to Aaron. He's awesome. That's another really good episode. I want to, again, like Meg was saying, I want to share all of them, but I also want to keep some a little surprise because we have some good stuff coming out.
True.
But one other that I am going to shout out real quick, because again, this is another topic that continues to pop up, is Gabor. He is a PM for one of the big five, and he talks about that process and how he got into that role. So again, we've seen a lot of folks have questions around that. And he's just a super fun guy, lots of information. He is not afraid to talk about the good and the bad. So Meg, feel free to jump in there, but I'm also very excited to release that and have folks learn from
Yeah.
that episode too.
I think that episode's really helpful because it talks a lot about failure. And I think that
Yeah.
one of the hardest things to overcome as a PM or even an aspiring PM, specifically trying to get into your first PM role, is there's going to be a lot of failure. There's going to be, even Olympia talked about this last season. There's a lot of failure in applying for your first PM role. And you're going to apply to, I don't know how many roles before you land your first one. And I think it's really important to accept that and know that that's going to be part of the process, but it's how you react to that that's really important. And I think that his episode is really helpful from a perspective of like the big five and what you do with that and how you react, that I'm really excited for our listeners to hear. So yeah, I'm really excited about that one. So one thing that we did last season, so like mid-launch, so to speak, it wasn't really season one, but we're associated with season one, is we actually launched a form on our LinkedIn trying to collect some information from listeners or just people in our networks about sharing their best product tips. So I think this is a great time to actually shout those people out who gave some product tips. And I know that some people wanted to actually share their names publicly, and some people kind of wanted to remain anonymous, which is totally fine. But we just wanted to shout those people out for sharing their product tips on the pod. So Santi, I don't know if you want to share the first one. So the question that we asked of the audience here was, what's one piece of advice you'd give to someone starting their product career?
100%. So this piece of advice came from April. I want to say the last name. I don't want to butcher it. Carchetti. Shout out to April. We appreciate the insights. What her advice is build like a dreamer, think like a CFO, and test like a skeptic. Because great strategy lives where imagination meets ROI and reality doesn't bite back.
God.
That could be like a quote. That's a post.
I love that because it really lets you think that your mind can go far, but you need to remain in a spot where you can challenge yourself. And I really like that because I feel like sometimes we don't challenge ourselves enough. And I love that perspective.
And again, not to beat on this too much, but it's that having that view of what other teams do and what other things are important to the other parts of the company and how we move as a team. This is a great way to be thinking about that.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. Thank you, April, for submitting that. So I want to move on to the next one that we have here. So again, just to reiterate the question here, what's one piece of advice you'd give to someone starting their product career? This answer is from Aaron Kessler. If you always argue from the customer's perspective, you'll never lose an argument.
Aaron sounds like he knows what he's talking about.
Shout out Aaron.
Hey, Ron, appreciate you.
Oh my God, he's going to kill us. I can't even stay serious when we're talking about him. Oh my God. We should just send him this clip and then delete it from the episode and just say, we talking shit about you behind the scenes.
This is going live tomorrow. I have tears. Okay, so but for real, no, this is it, right? This is a crucial, crucial part of any PM. You obviously need to have the business mindset, of course, and there's other considerations, but at the root of it, what is your customer's problem? What are their jobs to be done? What can we do to solve them that's going to make sense for them and for us, obviously? We're a business. But him just pointing out having that strong, strong, strong POV of the customer's view that came up in season 1 and season 2. I'm pretty sure that was a recurring thing that we heard. So there's almost no better way to say it. Another piece of feedback that we got in for one piece of advice you'd give to someone starting their product career. This came from Nick. Shout out to Nick. He is also another super cool dude. Love, love, love him as a PM. His advice is build something. It can be anything. Understand who you're building it for and why you're building it. What do they need? Why do they need it? How are they currently solving the problem? Iterate with their feedback. Wow, I actually had not read that full quote till just now. That was a good segue.
That was really good. I love
That's a
that.
really good.
I
Yeah,
love that.
that's honestly the soundbite right there too. Like take that and just embed that into your product thinking. That snippet just insert into here.
I love that. I love this just to go back to like what we were saying earlier that it's like the beginning is like build something, right? It can be anything and it's like you have to start challenging yourself as you're thinking through that quote, right? And then at the very end it's just like just iterate on it. Because I think that that's also a challenge that we get in that loop, right? That we aren't ready to launch something because we're going to make it this giant thing. And then just like you, slasher, we can always iterate on it later.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
do be doing that. I do love iteration.
No, that's a great quote. I love that. Shout out to Nick. I love that. And this next one, the person who submitted remained anonymous, so can't shout them out, but super excited to still have it. So, again, what's one piece of advice you'd give to someone starting their product career? Remove anything that adds friction, add everything that makes it smooth. We often think what separates a senior product person from any other is the experience. I say it's the mindset.
Transferable skills and mindsets. The listeners are gonna be like, Santi, we get it. Okay, we get it. But I'm just pointing out it keeps coming up.
Would also, I mean, I would ask you, Santi, because I believe like you're definitely in that senior PM level for sure. I think you're definitely like you have plenty of experience. You're in product ops. I think you're definitely up there. Do you agree with that quote?
Fundamentally, I do, because experience is important. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like knocking that at all. But it is, I find that the further I get in my product career, the experience has been very helpful for me to decide, like make decisions and think. But the mindset, I continually come back to the mindset because I'm going to encounter things that I may not have encountered before as a new experience, right? So for me, I think back to like if I encounter a situation and don't have experience with it, how is my mindset going to help me make the best of whatever it is I'm working through? To reiterate, the mindset is just as important to have in these situations as well.
I
It's
love that.
again, experience, we gather it as we go, but the mindset is almost like the constant that we have as we go through each of these experiences. And the mindset will change too, right? We'll learn things, we'll grow, we'll develop new learning paths and things like that. But that's how I kind of feel about that. Meg, I'd love to hear your take too. That's just
No, I
my own personal.
completely agree with you, but I want to challenge it slightly. But how do you train your mindset?
That's fair.
Skills build over time, right? Experience builds over time. But how do you train your mindset? Because I feel like your mindset does too, but there's no tangible way to measure it. It's just kind of like you notice differences. But I don't think experience can be like 3 years versus one, right? Like, I don't think that says I'm a senior PM. I think the mindset definitely could, but how do you portray or measure your mindset to display that to someone hiring in a role?
And I think it comes down to a few things. Like I said, like experience is definitely important. So that's one part. There's also like what you do to develop your mindset on your own, I would say. So what knowledge are you acquiring outside of experience? Are you reading? Are you talking to others who have been in the path that you're in and are ahead of you now or beside you, wherever, learning from other people? Are you listening to like podcasts? Are you keeping up with changes in technology and community? It's a really good topic, honestly. I think we could do a whole little like side quest episode just to dig into this a little bit. But yeah, because it is a tricky one. It is a tricky one to kind because it's like the chicken and the egg, right? Little chicken and egg action going on here.
I'd
I
be
like
really
that.
curious what some more director and above levels might say about that, because they're hiring, right? They're considering what hiring someone might look like. And I think
Mm,
that they're probably looking for experience in numbers, but they're also looking for that mindset. So I would be really curious if we brought that question to our networks or even live in an episode, how would they respond? That is
I like
something I
that.
would be curious about. So, whoever anonymously submitted this question, you have challenged us, excited
Yep.
us, and I think we will continue questioning that in a positive way, because I think we both agree, but I don't think we're the best to just say stamp of approval.
Right, because everything that we're gonna share is just from we're also kind of doing it on the fly as we're talking about this, but, I think everything that we're gonna share is just from our own personal experiences and what we've learned and our mindsets we've developed based on the real life that we've lived. We're n As Meg said, we're not the ones that say this is the way or this is not the way. There's things that we could reflect on this in a week and be like, "You know what? Now that I've dug into this a little bit more, here's what I agree with, here's what I don't agree with," et cetera,
Agreed.
et cetera. The mindset thing, just to come back to that full circle, constant iteration and renewing of it, to help it be the best that it can be. So I'm glad for that quote though, because it does give us something to chew on. I think that's also another part of as folks get along further along in their careers, they start chewing on these things a little bit more.
Agreed. Yes. They start questioning their own thoughts and questions, which is cool. Cool. Well, we have one left. Do you want to read that one?
Yes, I do, because I know who put it in, and she's awesome. So her name is Neve. Neve is a very, very, very strong product leader. She's been in bunch of different adjacent roles as well. So, one piece of advice you'd give to someone starting their product career, Neve said it's crucial to understand not just your users and customers, but also your team and organizational dynamics. Cultivate a deep empathy for both the end users you're serving and the internal stakeholders and partners you're collaborating with. So, building strong relationships with leadership, aligning with cross functional teams, and communicating a clear vision will empower you to make strategic decisions that balance customer needs, business objectives, and operational constraints. A successful product person fosters alignment, collaboration, and transparency, ensuring everyone is working towards the same goal. And ensure you do proper customer research and product discovery. Constantly test your own assumptions and check your own biases. Continuously improve and upskill in mixed methods, research, quantitative and qualitative analysis. Also, the former is no good without the latter. So many good things in that one. So many.
I think that is just like needs digest.
Yeah, that's a blog post in and of itself.
Oh my God, that's a really good one. Yeah, I think that's great. I think there's a lot there to digest, and I think that we couldn't sum that up in 8 minutes.
That's fair. That's fair. But a couple of just key takeaways right off the hop that I have from that, kind of like we spoke about earlier in this episode, understanding your teams and what jobs they have to get done that do serve your end customer, very important skill set. Product discovery, understanding and challenging your own assumptions. Again, coming back, everything's just like tying up so nicely in this episode. We're not even trying. Yeah, we're not even trying. Look at us go. But tying into that mindset thing, right? Like test your assumptions. A good mindset would be someone that is open to new information, testing their own assumptions and continuing to learn and evolve from there. That's a fantastic way to look at product management initiatives and how you are as a PM, because we constantly need to do that, right? We can make assumptions for our customers or based off information we know, and we should be continually fact checking ourselves, which is why coming back to the whole point of their mindset also is crucial in this type of thing. So love, love, love this advice. Thank you, Neve, for shouting that out. Fantastic, fantastic information.
That's great. Yeah. Well, I want to quickly pivot over to season 3, which is really exciting. So we haven't even started recording season 3 yet, but I know we're both super excited about it because there's a lot to do there. So we kind of, we had season 1 and that was like, is this even going to be something successful or even something we want to continue doing? Or is it just like the first resource we can start giving to people? And then season 2 was like who would we want to hear from if we were in people's shoes? And now season 3 is kind of like, okay, well, who does our audience want to hear from? And I think that that's really exciting because we want to ask you, is there anyone out there that you want us to interview? Is there anyone out there that you specifically want us to ask to come on the podcast?
I think that's right. I would love to hear more about what our listeners are really itching to hear more about. So it could be something we touched on in season 1 that they want to bring back. Could be having a guest reappear to dig into a topic that we talked on in one of the seasons, from season 1, season 2, whatever. I just want to hear what people are it's most pressing for them, what might be the most questions they have about something or concerns they might have about something, and how we can help tailor season 3 a little bit to that. So I would like to hear more about that, from the listeners as well. I have to hear who else we should have on the roster for that one.
Totally love that. And I would say, like, what topics do you want to hear? Is there anyone in particular you want to hear from? A good example that comes to mind for me is there's a lot of heat out there right now about like AI replacing product managers, or product managers needing to use AI for interviews, prototyping in interviews, things like that. Is there anyone out there that you want to ask those questions? Maybe it's a different topic, but that was just the one that came to mind for me because I know it's kind of a hot topic right now. So let's talk about it. What topics do you want to hear? Who do you want to have on? And is there anything pressing that you want us to bring up for season 3? Our goal for season 3 is to record in the next month or two and then launch that in the spring. So just let us know who you want us to have on, and we'll boldly ask them to join our podcast, which is not super famous, but we'll ask them to come on anyway. So
Right.
totally we'll be up for it. So yeah, this kind of wraps us up.
This does wrap us up. If there's any, to the listeners, there's anything else you want to share with us on the podcast, whether it's people to bring on, topics to cover, any feedback you have for us, please let us know. We treat everything like a product. We're product people. Love to have iterations happen. So feedback is welcome, good, bad, ugly. And again, we just want to say a huge, huge, huge thank you to the community and all the folks that have been supporting us and advocating for us and sending us as a resource to people. I cannot put into words how grateful we are for you and how humbled we are. So thank you again for allowing us to be kind of this little niche of the product community and growing from there. Thank you so much.
Totally agree. And we really appreciate this being a resource for aspiring PMs as well. Yeah, we just like being part of it. So thank you so much.